Welcome to
She Blaze.
where we're bringing you cannabis culture from a woman's point of view. And as always, here to elevate the cannabis industry. I'm one of your hosts, Ice Dawson, Cannabis Socialite.
And I am Dasheeda Dawson, the weed head. Hey.
Hey, you are the weed head. And on today's episode of She Blaze, we're discussing how home grow can benefit cannabis business, giving exclusive details on Minnesota's medical marijuana audit and best ways to prepare for a weed head Valentine's Day.
Okay, we gotta get that
Yeah.
weed in Valentine's Day. It's also Aquarius season, y'all. Hey,
Hey, how
hey.
exciting.
It's so exciting. I mean, every time it hits, I just get real rejuvenated. So I guess that's what I am kind of high on. And of course, because it's Aquarius season, already getting gifts and
Yes,
fun things
yes,
from
yes.
our friends over at Tribe Tokes. We have a couple things here that I definitely want to shout out. I'm very excited to use. This is a CBD infused pain cream. This has 500 milligrams of CBD. I'm about to be on a book tour. This is my before and after the flight rub. That's what
Alright.
I'm positive of
You're
this. I'm gonna
gonna
have to scoop
need
scoop
them.
some out for a travel size. So that's a
Okay.
little bit bigger. That's a 4 ounce. Oh no, this is a 2 ounce
It's
jar.
perfect.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. We also got some more goodies from Tribe Tokes, which is a CBD tincture full
Woo
spectrum
woo.
with 1,500
Yo,
milligrams.
that's a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We talk a lot about the dosage and potency in the
Yes.
jar.
So that is exciting, especially for someone like me who needs a CBD regimen every single day of their life. So shout out.
Yes, yes. And shout out to Kim B because
Yes.
she sent us a cute note. And of course, she also hooked us up with 3 different flavors of their full spectrum vapes. We got the Remedy, which is an indica, sour tsunami, and hybrid, and probably the one I'm gonna cop, the
Yeah.
mango haze.
Oh, word! You already putting dibs on it,
You
yo?
know
Like
what?
she
You
already
probably need
putting
this
dibs on
hybrid,
it.
girl.
No, I probably need. You know, I be sleepy, so shoot, I probably
Yeah.
need all of it
I
now.
think I probably need the hybrid for my
You
travels.
need the indica so you can.
That's maybe, perhaps,
Well,
perhaps.
that's an exciting high of the week. Now that we're back in Vegas, I could definitely talk about the strain that I'm using, which is a new leaf strain called Sweeties. And
Okay.
it is very sweet. It's a hybrid. It had a lot of the terpenes that we enjoy, like limonene. I don't even know if I pronounce these right, so I always
Yes,
get a
that was
little
pretty good. It had like nine. It
nervous.
had 9.2% of that. I
Yeah, yeah,
remember that.
yeah. So
That stood out. It smelled delicious.
yes, and humulene, still don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's one of my favorites. It's also found in a lot of fruits. So
Yes.
I did enjoy it. It had a lot of the terpenes that I like. So we are high on cannabis as well, you
With high
guys.
terpenes.
High
Okay, Ice,
terpenes,
with
yes.
your little terpene flow.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
you
a
know,
little
I'm still
flow
trying to get
flow.
the names right. It's always like, oh, you got to talk about your terpenes. I'm like, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right.
Girl,
So,
that's one thing in medical school that I found was really interesting. It really depended who your attending was. There's a lot of pharmaceuticals and pharmacology words that literally it just is tomato, tomato,
it
and
doesn't.
sometimes tomato. Like it depends on who is
Okay.
talking. So
Okay.
I think you did a good job, and I'm impressed. So I look forward to finding out a little bit more about your little terpenes in the future. No, you know how I always feel. It's all about the terpenes at the end of the day.
Yes.
I almost don't even care how much THC or, the
Oh
usual.
my God, isn't that so annoying? I literally just tweeted the other day, like, bro, stop trying to sell me on your THC levels because I don't care. It doesn't matter. Half of your labs are incorrect, but the terpenes matter to me. So hopefully they're correct.
Well, that's a Nevada issue for sure. And, I want to make sure as we are shouting out some of our experiences that we do travel to all of the legal markets, both medical as well as ones with both
I
adult
feel like
use.
we've had a lot of potency discrepancies depending in almost almost every market, I feel like.
That is a common thing. I mean, even the markets that do test, it was like plus or minus 15%. And I was like, wait, what?
What does that even mean?
Wait, what? Okay, so maybe that's part of what is causing our big cannabis states to even run into trouble.
Right.
Yes, which of course leads us, I guess, to our hot topics.
Yes, I know the hot topics are pretty juicy around here. And we have another one starting off in California. I know people are probably like, dang, they got a target on California. But yes, we do, because they're the first to ever do it in terms of medical marijuana. And they are still just the largest, revenue of cannabis within the industry. So,
Yeah, they're a reference point all the time. So it's one of those things, especially in New York and working on the ground there over the last like 2, 3 years. That like for a while, California and Colorado was like all we were hearing from the legislative leaders, and we were kind of like, listen. And in 2017, of course, nothing had been walked back. No new legislature had been introduced yet. But now we have so many things that California is leading the way in terms of insights, right? So when you're the leader, sometimes it can be a little bit of a tough road for you, but we can learn a lot from California. So that's the positive, in my opinion.
I agree. And what we're learning about California right now
Let's get
is
into
that
it.
they are having a bunch of layoffs. We talked about MedMen, but there are even more reports coming. Flow Canna, which coined itself California's #1 best-selling cannabis flower, is letting go a fifth of their employees.
Ooh.
We're also hearing Ease, Packs, even some of Weed Maps. It also was reported via Instagram. Shout out to the Blacklist XYZ. Yes, because they get all the anonymous tea that Lowell actually was doing layoffs, and employees came to one of their warehouses, and it was a lock on the door. No one said anything. There wasn't an email, memo, nothing.
Wow.
So, yes, it's getting real in Cali, y'all.
Yeah, it is getting real. But you know what? I want to also put a little bit of real talk business lens on it. While this is juicy tea to some degree, this is an example of sort of the ebbs and flows. When people rush into the industry and we make a lot of assumptions, and a lot of assumptions were being made on California's legal industry once it was voted to be legalized in 2016. It didn't actually get into implementation with all the regulations until 2018, and essentially it lost revenue, right? A lot of big brands could not hold up to the regulatory requirements, and as a result moved back into what folks are now calling the gray market. A lot of dry spots, just mistake after mistake in the early stages. And in this case, it is kind of like, yes, you're not too big to fail. You can, especially when you're not doing the right things on taxation. I would also just end this with some of these companies came in and they were hyper growing, right? Hiring en masse, crazy types of packages that didn't really align. You know, we heard some of the stories about some of the C-suites being paid. And at the end of the day, the receipts weren't there, you know what I'm saying? And so
nor was the revenue.
So they have to back things up. And in some cases, you're still going to see hiring because WeMaps is still hiring. They're just focused more on the political realm versus in the past, it's been more in content generation. So I think you'll see this shift where it's going to reduce in sort of what they oversupplied themselves in and start to increase in those, you know, real bona fide credentialed individuals who are coming in with experience from mainstream consumer products.
True. Well, as we look at big legal markets failing, we would like to take a look at a struggling medical marijuana market.
Oh my goodness, you put your head down for
we're
them.
praying for them. Shout out to Minnesota.
I know, our former hometown.
Yes. So
let's talk about it.
Well, we're moving to hot topic #2, and Minnesota's medical marijuana market is truly struggling. The Office of Legislative Auditor did a recent recap of medical marijuana program that they have there. It's being ran by the Minnesota's health department. And some of the things that they were really looking at, so super basic, laboratory testings, manufacturing, patients, record keeping. So those seem basic, but the audit is saying that actually all of the internal controls are messed up,
Ooh.
and that, they're not really reliable with the testing and manufacturing. They are struggling to keep a record of patients' information, especially ones that have to do with guardianship. So as we hear about this, they only have 17,000 patients or around there for the year of 2019. Could you imagine if it was 100,000?
No, actually, it would be a hot mess. But, I've been talking about Minnesota since 2016, 2017. We used to live there. We was in the legacy market trying to find stuff for mommy during her time with chemo. And that's when I realized I really needed to be a patient myself. The negative 25-degree weather is no joke. But the reality is that from the door, it was set up to fail. First and foremost, shout out to Marcus Harkis, who is basically almost like a one-man show on the ground in Minnesota, who is trying to get it legalized for adult use, to regulate it like alcohol and tobacco. And, I think he has got an uphill battle because he doesn't have any true political support. And from the outset, you can see how this was created without the right inputs of re-education and understanding. For one, they didn't offer any flour at all. It's all a very homogenized product. There isn't a lot of assortment stratification, although the pricing is still pretty high. It's mostly vapes and oils. They only allowed 3 licenses. So basically you have 3 monopolies, and with companies, and no disrespect to those companies, I know that a lot of people rushed in. They didn't know the real science. They didn't handle the business by starting with what was best for the consumer. They just assumed, oh, it's marijuana, everybody's going to show up. There was no re-education of the hospital system. I mean, they have the Mayo Clinic there, which is one of the best,
shout out, I love them,
cancer treatment clinics in the world, not the country, the world. And they definitely are leaders in trying to do testing and protocol. Mommy was part of a testing process. So to me, I feel like this is a big miss as a person who just knows what Minnesota can offer. And I'm hoping that they can figure this out now that they've gotten the results from this.
Yes, well, the results dates back from July 1st, 2016 to December 31st, 2018. It's really sad to hear some of these stories, just for the simple fact you're right. Minnesota is like one of the only states I could say, and I lived a lot of places, that really cares about their community, cares about their residents, and they actually for several years in a row was voted #1 cleanest city in America.
Oh, they are, and that's actually fact. Like how they do it is crazy, but they do care.
Yeah, so it's very hard to understand the myth as far as cannabis, because it seems so easy once you've been in it for 4 years. It's like, this should be common sense, but in 2016 to now 2018, it's not really looking like common sense. So I hope it empowers people to really look at the market and seeing other medical marijuana markets that are doing just as bad with their remix hemp farm bill. And they should look at places like Arizona, California before legalization. What did they do to have such a big patient population?
Yes, that plus also recognizing what did they not do as well, right? Because some of the reason why California is in this is so many municipalities opted out, and that's because really people don't know the real science behind it. Right. We some people just think it's for folks who are dying or if you have AIDS. That was a lot of what was behind California's legalization. So if I'm being perfectly honest, I think that the first step is bringing along the healthcare providers. And that's why I'm so excited to be working with organization, Doctors for Cannabis Regulation. I got some announcements, Aquarius season announcements that are going to happen in relation to that. But we need more doctors, and we need more who are in support of regulation that is really science-based, evidence-based regulation, not random bro science or just overly strict sin-based. I mean, that's part of it. Minnesota still acts it very much like, this is a sin, you know, and I think we've got to let go of those reins.
It's not alcohol, you're not going to get teen drunk driving videos with this plant that can literally grow poof anywhere. And as we talk about struggling markets, you already know you are the queen of, well, what's the solution? And we have quite a few. So I would like to talk about on our hot topic number 3, a solution that could really benefit cannabis business, and it's home grow, and people really just don't know.
Yeah, so I posted about this earlier last week. Chris Crane, shout out to Chris Crane, who is the founder, co-founder, and president of Forefront Ventures, which is a multi-state cannabis operation. And his history is not in business necessarily, but more so in advocacy, and he's been doing this for a long time. He wrote a Forbes article that really inspired me because it just hit the nail on the head. He actually wrote it in March of 2019, but it's still so relevant. And it was based on the fact that the Medical Cannabis Industry Association, the New York Medical Cannabis Industry Association, which is a conglomerate of essentially the 10 license holders in the state, wrote a 29-page memo to the governor, basically requesting for a number of things, which he outlines in the article, and we'll post that. But the most important thing was that they really don't want home grow, and they listed why, and a lot of it wasn't very valid. And it just kind of triggered me because my perspective is that I've seen so many big corporate cannabis companies and brands trying to enforce the brand trial and brand loyalty. And that's something that, marketers and strategic planners, like, we do a lot of hoop jumping to make sure that consumers are happy. And we make sure that we are really earning that trial and then the retention afterwards. And I feel like they don't really want to earn it. They just kind of want to box patients in or box consumers in. And that's not going to work. Like, we just talked about Minnesota, and because of the homogeneity of the products, because of the fact that no flower, which still by BDS Analytics is the majority of sales in the big states of Colorado and California, you're not expecting the market to do well. And so in the case of medical especially, I really don't feel like I should have to be subjected, if I don't want, to some of the ills of the early stages of adult use, like what just happened in Illinois, where it lies around the corner and so on and so forth. But I also think trying to put this fear that if home grow is still allowed, we will be perpetuating the underground illegal market. And I just think that that's not necessarily true. What's perpetuating that is the high taxes, the sin-based rollout of legacy,
The monopolies.
the monopoly. There's a list of other things that aren't in favor of the consumer, but this in particular doesn't provide the sort of depth in what we would want in an assortment. Right now, we're in Nevada and we're limited to what the top strains are here. And it would be a very different thing. And they have some interesting home grow rules that if you're a medical patient, you can, but it's very strain specific. Thankfully, though, everybody's
They got the same strain.
They all got the same strain, so it's easy to be like, oh no, super lemon haze. All right, I'm gonna grow super lemon haze. But being able to find the right strain that works for an ailment, and then struggle in a legal market. This is my issue all the time. Struggle in a legal market trying to find it is not something a patient should ever have to go through. And I think with home grow, it bleeds itself into future, more mom and pop type of craft cannabis strains. And, I think that it would actually improve the overall ecosystem personally and from a business perspective.
True. Well, that definitely was a mouthful and a lot to take in.
Sorry.
But we definitely already posted it technically. Mm-hmm. So, just to be clear, it was also that as well posted on Facebook. Yes. So if you're following the WeedHead, Dasheeda Dawson, the WeedHead, then you see it. But yes, I mean, you put it out there very clear. At the end of the day, we don't really harass people when they're growing tomatoes, basils, watermelon, anything in their backyard. So who are you to tell me after this is legalized that this is something that I can't grow? Especially when, how you said cannabis is literally a plant, it's like produce. Mm-hmm. It is, sometimes you can't even stop it from growing when you put it in the ground.
That is
So
true.
it is very interesting how people want to basically chokehold the cannabis industry and not allow it to be accessible for everyone. What did everyone fight all these years, hundreds of years, to even get legalized cannabis if they really were going to, monopolize it, capitalize in it, and then, the patient.
Homogenize it, right?
Right,
Like one product for everybody.
right, right.
It doesn't work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt. I apologize. But I wanted to I was so excited about what you said because those are the three things, in my opinion, that have really devastated a lot of these markets.
Well, and it's devastating the people that are investing in this market. We're
True.
not for nothing. We are going to keep talking about all these big companies. Yes, their rapid growth, but at the end of the day, they're using their lobbying money to put things like this in front of the lawmakers. And, lawmakers move how the people want them to feel. And if people feel nothing, and then you have this person that is, writing you a 29-page memo, you're going to go with the 29-page memo versus the people that's not, the people aren't really going out and lobbying for the right things.
Yes, no, I agree. I think patients absolutely have to come out. We have the medical cannabis community is actually right now running a drive for patient, whether you are legal or not, but just patient testimony. So I definitely want people to submit. We'll put the link in the comments for that as well. At the end of the day, this is not.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me that link.
I will make sure I give you a link. No, at the end of the day, I just want to end with this thought. First of all, consumer behavior doesn't like change all that drastically. This is still a consumer product, and there are but so many people who have green thumbs who want to like grow their own produce. That was our mama. I get that. That is not me. And so there is a point where still having strong brands and strong product assortments are going to be necessary to actually start to win over those consumers. But making it difficult for somebody like myself to find Acapulco Gold in a market because I love the THC CBD has like a real balance. It's like 1 to 2 plus great terpenes. Making me have to look all over or find like little replacements is just inhumane. I mean, I'm already in pain. I know that works well and allows me to be very functional. Why wouldn't I be able to just grow that on my own or find someone who is in a small way growing that? In foods, you can't sell it. But you can give it away. It's kind of like the same with getting your hair done. Like you could go to the kitchen or you could go to a licensed person and it could come out great on both ends or it could come out really terrible
on both
ends. In the end that is licensed, you have a little bit more license in order for you to sue them if you want. Whereas in the kitchen, you might have to just take the L. That is what we understand life to be. I think we put too much criminalization around cannabis for us to not see bad person and cannabis growing not together. And that's what this letter really focuses on, in my opinion.
Well, we've given you guys a solution to help improve cannabis business. So let's keep going on some high notes and move into our hot topic number 4,
okay,
which is about Oregon.
I
Surprisingly,
like Oregon, yes.
I like Oregon too. I mean, it's definitely somewhere I would raise my children.
It's beautiful. It's
I
beautiful there. Oh
haven't
my
been, but
gosh.
I like it from the pictures. And everyone tells me, everyone goes to Oregon, it's like, oh my God, Oregon's so amazing. The food is good. You would love it. And I'm like, dang, I really need to go check it out.
Yes, we will be there. I'm very excited to now be a part of the Oregon Cannabis Commission.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Congratulations,
thank you.
sis.
Well, a subcommittee. I'm part of the governance frameworking subcommittee, and we have a meeting coming up soon. And I'm excited because we're going to be talking about exactly what we were just talking about. How do we put together appropriate frameworks that allow this to be regulated, but the actual market to flourish? And more than anything else, we all agree Oregon has got good cannabis.
They got good cannabis, and they border states are enjoying it as well. As we are seeing that Oregon and Idaho border, is up close to 420% above the statewide average as far as revenue.
That's pretty staggering in terms of a percentage. So tell all.
Well, there's not much to tell. At the end of the day, Idaho, most residents in Idaho have the opportunity to either go to Washington State or to Oregon State as far as if they want to chill and consume cannabis there. Well, most people are actually going to Oregon over Washington, and that's because of the price friendliness with the product, the accessibility, the whole bunch of products, and different types. Like you will see some exotic strains in Oregon.
I know, yeah. That was the best part of anytime I've been to Portland in the last 3 years, it has been, and beyond, I've driven for hours, and it's so green and sunny. It's beautiful. Everyone should try to get out there. And the market does need work though. So if I was a border county or municipality, if I was a mayor or a council person or advising them, I essentially say, this is an opportunity to capitalize on tourism as far as I'm concerned. So you have folks coming over from Idaho. And if you don't know, Idaho is not legal for
They
adult
won't
use.
they won't be legal for a long time, you guys. They're about like the South.
They probably won't be legal until it's federal, right? That's basically, they're the holdout. And so folks can drive in, and it's almost like, in my opinion, it's like when you live in New York, you can drive to the Poconos, right? You can create an entire cannabis environment, cannabis friendly environment that surrounds these border areas, so that folks come and they get the cannabis, and they're wanting to stay as well. So I think this is an opportunity for revenue driving and a bit of tourism outside of Portland for Oregon as well.
Absolutely, because some of these counties I've never even heard of. They have like a really funky, cool chart in terms of the article that I saw where they're comparing border states' IDs from Washington, which is, just the average percentage, versus Oregon. And those things are like high percentage, over 100% for Oregon compared to Washington.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Like you said, pricing, and then just the general perspective, and that may or may not be true. You can agree or not, but on what the quality is expected to be. Yeah.
So that's really exciting. And I think that people definitely, the East Coast, while they're looking to legalize adult use, they definitely, one, need to manage their expectations, because if you have a competing adult use market as far as like states connected, they're going to go to the other state with the better market, period.
Absolutely. And in that case, for New York and certain parts, Massachusetts is hella close. And so that is a big opportunity. And, when you think about Western New York, then you also have Canada, which also has legalized. So New York definitely is already losing, they're losing medical marijuana patients, if you ask me, just because they don't got no flower. I'd rather just use my cousin's address in New Jersey and go get me a New Jersey medical marijuana card. That's real tough. You know what
Definitely,
I'm
but you might want to be careful about that Jersey bud, because they be having spiders and molds and all kinds.
Everybody has to work on their testing, even though,
the cultivating sis, that the plant out the ground and the soil is crazy. I seen it online.
Yes, but I think, again, that's what I feel so just maddening, is that regulation is supposed to help prevent that. And so it's so important for us to start increasing the standards and respecting consumers. We wouldn't have what we were talking about in Minnesota if the consumer was being respected, because these are just standards that are expected in consumer products, period.
Well, I do agree. There is some standards that they could really truly keep. But this is the lighter side and happier side of cannabis as far as hot topics.
Yes. No, as always, I can go in when it comes to business. We'll keep an eye on Oregon, and hopefully.
Well, you definitely be in Oregon.
Yes, I will be. I will be, because I want to make sure that this is a great testing ground for new legislative frameworks and smart ones. And it's just a great team. Shout out to Dr. Rachel Knox, who encouraged me to apply. And yeah, I'm ready to get it.
We know you ready for some strategy.
Yes, but it's Aquarius season, so I'm ready for my birthday. I'm ready for Valentine's Day. Ow, ow.
Well,
Yes, so we got to get to this WeedHead Valentine.
okay, the WeedHead Valentine's. Oh, I wonder if you're gonna drop some jewels of what you doing for Valentine's Day.
Nothing.
On
Nothing.
the internet, she says nothing. No, I'm just kidding. So we're preparing for a WeedHead Valentine's Day, and sex and cannabis is a huge trend and white space opportunity within the industry right now.
Super trend.
Yes, it
Let's
is.
get
I
into
mean,
it.
do you feel like you've seen an increase during this holiday, lovebird holiday season of information about sex and cannabis?
Definitely, it starts to get a little bit more amped up once February is like really in the go. Week 2, you're gonna have something. We're actually just starting to see a lot of cannabis around the Valentine's Day gift for the ladies and some, for the fellas. But yes, I personally think year round, whether it's Valentine's Day or not, like this is something that every woman should really start to get a handle on because it really can just rock your whole world, can change your whole sex life, in my opinion.
Ow.
Yeah.
Well, how can cannabis benefit sex?
Well, I think really everyone, of course, is going to go straight to the your state of mind and that whole thing. But to be honest, even just utilizing cannabidiol or CBD, for me, I'm increasing in my flexibility. I have far less inflammation. You have to trust. After pregnancy, you have inflammation even though you don't know you have inflammation, and we start to see those aches and pains. So, but then if you're like me, as I'm about to be 41, yes, 41, darling. I definitely like to utilize it to get my body ready for what that experience needs to be. I want to be fully there, fully present, and I want that means without pain. And so there's that element as well. But last but not least, a lot of people don't realize that, especially in the vagina, which has a lot of the same cellular makeup as your actual mouth, inside its epithelial cell. There's some really like cool things that can happen when you have cannabis infused products that are vagina friendly down there. It helps with lubrication, natural pH, smell. It gets you real juicy, as I would like to say, in a good way.
Okay, well that is
Where my
good.
Nikki friends at?
Well, I'm all here for the Nikki. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Clone. But how does THC actually, since the mouth and the vagina is all pretty much the same thing, does THC get it high?
Well, it's although they are made up of the same cells, there are different, layers, and but there are similar transmucosal mechanisms that allow for cannabinoids to actually transition or pass through. A lot of people will say that in addition to rubbing on their abdomen, they're also utilizing sprays for things like endometriosis and or really bad cramps, and it does its work through that direction. So absolutely, it's definitely getting to be activated in the body. Now, whether it gets you high really has a lot to do with dosage, where it's placed, and that delivery mechanism, in my opinion, because there are parts of our privates, whether it's the shaft of a penis that has very thin skin, like the inside of your wrist, and therefore can have some transdermal capabilities, or the vagina that is more like transmucosal. If there's enough, yeah, THC can get in and it's going pretty fast to a bloodstream area or a blood rich area. So I definitely think it adds probably a little bit, but most of the brands I've seen haven't been like an enormous amount in any particular like alarming way. Certainly not more than you're gonna get in an edible, okay? And
Okay.
so yeah, I personally haven't had any adverse effects as a result of it or felt a way, but of course I'm also smoking too, so I'm already probably high.
Right. I don't think
you know?
I've never been sober while trying it. But so are you basically telling us we could just, grab our little oil, our CBD oil and just drop it? right there?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
So, every tincture is different and has first of all, know your products. And if it doesn't have a label, don't put it in your vagina. That's one. I mean, it sounds like crazy, but there are very specific brands, and I know you'll get to some of the brands that we love. But yeah, there are certain tinctures that are based in similar water soluble products that will be okay for the private area, but for the most part you want to make sure you understand the ingredients. You don't want the alcohol. There's also full spectrum comes with terpenes. Sometimes it's broad spectrum and terpenes are added back. And imagine citrus in your eye or in your privates. It's the burning sensation, and again, some people like that and want that, but those are the type of risks that you can run by not paying attention to what actually is in the product before you do that.
Don't just use the dropper.
No,
For you
no,
guys.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Oh
There's
my goodness.
products on the market too, so I mean, let's talk about some of those.
Okay, well, we can definitely talk about some products that are made by women, which I think is like the utmost important thing because we know our bodies better.
Go
So, yes,
ice.
so Velvet Swing. It is based out in California. It is a cannabis sensual lubricant, you guys. Condom safe, stain free, a 3-to-1, don't know what, but it is a 3-to-1. So 3-to-1 THC to CBD or CBD to THC. We could just guess. But
Well, there's supposed to be a ratio standard in the market, and I know in California they were putting the CBD first to the THC. So this is 3 levels of CBD to every 1 level of THC.
it's hard when you don't put it on
The box or the website. Yes. So, okay, a little bit of feedback there.
sorry.
But what you do know that this is that one of those combo mixes. And in this way, I definitely think you're going to see tremendous more benefits. I still feel like even with the vagina, same as the belly, the gut, same as any other part of your body, a full spectrum or the whole plant, the entourage effect is still going to be your best experience.
And I'm glad to keep seeing them around. Actually, we first was I think introduced to this company back in 2018 maybe at Women Grow. So I'm excited to see them still up and running through this California madness, sis.
Listen, these are real ways to hack, and I'll tell you about my favorite brand and how they've done that.
Okay, well, moving on to our next brand called Ignite CBD Lube by Kush Queen. So that is the CBD infused lube. So it does meet the hemp farm bill. So that is really cool. It is infused with nanotechnology CBD for instant results. I definitely will let you break down the nano CBD particles more because that's your specialty. Just so you know, it is condom free, condom safe, sorry, no stains, and paraben free, which I haven't seen. It's also retailed at $49.99, and it can really be found across the country.
I mean, how many ounces is in that lube? 49, $50
Like
lube?
44 ounces via
Wow, that CBD
online.
is real, real, real upcharge compared to a
Well, it's
KY.
nanotechnology,
Yes,
sis.
so okay, you're asking what nanotechnology means. I'm like, I've been seeing it around myself, especially in a lot of waters, and it's supposed I'm being
I know.
honest.
We just had a whole discussion about this hemp water that you got with nanotechnology.
Yes,
It
oh my
was a
God.
full rant, you
I
guys.
literally had only a sip, and it was like I was off to the races with CBD, but that meant off to the bed. This was a real extreme response, and I didn't really understand how much they had in it. But that said, nanotechnology CBD is supposed to allow for it to pass along through all the various soft tissue and find its way to a receptor that's in need or an area that's in need as soon as possible. And that means it has a faster onset. It may have better bioavailability. All of those things, to me, they mean something, right? But I think because we haven't figured out the basic dosing yet, sometimes I feel like nanotechnology is like too far ahead. We're not explaining it well
I mean, I
from
still
a
don't know the
basic
3 to
level,
1.
right? We're not explaining it well from the basic, and so this is one of those moments where I'm just like, we're doing too much. But I appreciate the efforts. We want better onset when things are being ingested, and in this case, it's going through
It's ingested in the
the
vagina, you guys.
vagina.
Ow.
Yes.
So, what's one of your favorite products? Because I know you're all fully lubed out, sis.
I don't know if I'm
I'm just
lubed out.
kidding.
I like sprays, and that to me is just easier to work with.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with down there, I've made my own. I have
I
my
have,
own
yes,
secret recipe.
you may gave it to me. I
And
know
yeah, and
it.
I pass that along. I might put those in the comments for
You
y'all.
must be feeling real good on this Aquarius season. You feeling good, y'all. Birthday season is here.
Yes, Aquarius season turned up. No, but I like Foria, and they are a formidable brand in the market in terms of their brand marketing, positioning, the communication strategy. I think they've done a really good job at understanding women, especially women of a certain age. That I fall into that category. It put me in the mind of, sort of that Olay, but just a smidge younger, right? Just a smidge. I'm definitely the Olay target at this point at 40, almost 41. And so I was impressed. I also was impressed because they were one of the first to actually come out the gate with both THC only line and then CBD more globally once the Farm Act actually was passed. So they, similar to this last brand, they had started to really dominate in that market. They have a number of different things from oils and sprays, and I'm a person, again, I just prefer a spray because I think it's just a little bit easier to work with and doesn't get all over the place. And I've found it also is a little bit more multi-purpose if you decide, like, I find that cannabinoids also are very helpful with some of the sweat blocking that happens underneath your arm. So that's like a great like alt. And because under the armpit is very sensitive, some would say more sensitive than even the vagina. If it's made for a vagina, then I feel like it'll be okay for my armpit as well. But I have multi-uses with Foria, and I've always enjoyed both the THC, which is stronger. It's the difference, y'all. It's a difference. I'm sorry to say.
It is a difference, but the nails is like, wow, I need a spray. I just can't be.
That too, yes. I
Don't got
forgot. With
no
your nails,
time.
nobody wants to scoop.
No claws, no claws, and nobody wants to get like the little projector thing oil underneath your nails. That's like the worst.
That's true too. I mean, basically, spray is just friendly all around if you can get it. And you can do oil sprays, oil based, or but preferably down there you want it to be still water soluble, because those tend to work better with condoms.
Yeah, and oil is just shit. If we're sweating on the hoo-ha, could you imagine adding oil down there?
Yeah,
that does not work.
Well, the last thing I'll say as a very big, like, unexpected benefit, and again, none of this is FDA, approved. I am not a doctor, but I'm telling you my own experiences and what I'm excited about as far as CBD is concerned. Ingrown hair bumps, which is a real issue for a lot of women, especially women of color.
Yes.
It helps with two different things, in my opinion. One, the inflammation around that ingrown hair, and the prevention of ingrown hair bumps. And then once you've gotten one, if it's bad and then there's some scarring, it's also, in my opinion, really good for
like a toning, so you don't have a black
marks all over, which can be a little challenging. So we talking real here. We're talking real vagina talk.
Real vagina talk. Yes, but it can be used for men too, because men get ingrown hair bumps as well.
Yes,
especially because they don't be trying to manscape all the time.
100%.
You could spray some down here too,
Yes, they could.
We trying to look out for y'all, so y'all can have some sexy WeedHead Valentine's Day action happening.
Yes, and I'm sure people will be sharing some of that in their DMs.
Well, we got you down. So just to tip off, the main topic before we head out, what are some of the sex products you'll like to see hit the market? Especially because, you wrote a book about all this white space and opportunities and things.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think we're already starting to see a lot of lubes at this point. I think I still don't see enough sprays. Um, I don't know if it's sex product per se, like trying to help the experience, but to be honest, I feel like anything that helps your vagina is going to help your sexual experience. So something that is sort of not a actual douche, because I think that some of what the mix is, but something that's more homemade, has a little CBD that allows a little bit more spread to upper
Vagina.
parts. Yes, to the all of your vaginal parts. I would love to see something along those lines. It would be, I think, really good for anybody who's suffering from severe cramps too. But I think generally with the pH opportunities in the vagina and keeping it moist, especially as you start to move into middle age, is something that's, I don't know, we don't like to talk about it because we still think we a young thing, but that's the first thing that reminds you that you're not, to be perfectly honest. So, luckily, that is not an issue I have because I have never really
You
pushed a baby out that way.
teasy.
But, but I'm also cannabinoid up.
Like
I
cannabinoid
get it in my
efficient.
steams. I wish I could see more CBD infused steams or cannabinoid infused steams. If you haven't gotten your yoni steam, do it. It's worth it. It's an amazing experience. So those are the things I'm looking more for in the product arena that will help you just have a happy vagina. You could tell I did the vagina monologues in college.
Clearly,
Because I don't have
clearly.
a problem saying the word vagina, vagina.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
no one I feel like in the family, like some I was like, Mom,
Well, it's all girls, so that's part of it too. So it becomes real
like, do we have
extra.
to have my first sex talk at like 13?
We're all girls, so yeah, we know what's
I'm
up. We
like, me
know
and my
what's
friends,
up.
we don't talk about that. We're
Mhm.
lame.
But yeah, so I'm excited about just making more happy vagina products, and that ultimately will lead to better sexual experiences for
Happy
women.
vagina, happy life.
Basically.
Well, we have made it to the end of our show. We hope that you guys had a great time, learned some new things, some solutions to some of your cannabis problems, and how to get sexy for V-Day, okay?
Yes.
So, do you want to leave the people with some final thoughts and takeaways?
Well, it's Aquarius season. Turn up. We got my birthday coming up. And as a birthday present to everybody, I am offering 25% off of my introductory cannabis course for February only, y'all. So instead of being $100, it's $75, and it includes one of the workbooks. So more details will be placed in the comments, but that's my big like birthday turn up. I want this class to be lit, lit.
I know that's right. Well, we know you like to get turned up for your birthday. A lot of people don't even been there for the birthday. So we're excited to see as you build these cannabis educators, really. Because once they get educated from the weed head in terms of cannabis business, they could really just like hold that flag and be like, I'm pretty educated on this subject. So let me tell you what you're saying wrong.
That is true. Shout out to this random audience member that gave props to my book for why they're able to like check people left and right on some of the stuff that they're saying that's crazy. That's what we want to do. More conscious consumers, entrepreneurs, advocates, and investors. So
we're here for it. And so make sure you guys watch She Blaze on live Facebook every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And you can listen to us anytime via SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. So subscribe to theweedhead.com to stay up to date on what's blazing in the cannabis industry.
woo-woo.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess I should say.
I mean, do you want them to follow you
Yes,
on social media?
follow me on the weedhead.com, of course, but also the Cannabis CEO. And of course, you want to Google sharing success in cannabis because the book tour is on the
We are
road.
really weaving. I'm like, ooh, child, I'm sad. Did we get a vacation in the middle of the book
No rest for you.
tour? Okay, well, you guys enjoy your Aquarius gift.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so it's been an amazing, amazing episode. Have a great week, you guys.